This is Wild Wisdom Podcast. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a while, and I'm joined by my usual crew, Mark and Alan. How are we doing, boys?
All right, thank you, sir. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Good. We have a very special guest with us this time, our old college friend, Paul Jaffa.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, sir. Very well. And it's just an absolute honour to be with you guys after so many years. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, we recorded this before, but for some really bizarre reason, it didn't save on my programme, so we're having to do it again. But it's a blessing in disguise anyway, because we've got Paul Jaffa with us. Yeah. And we're going to talk about our favourite movies of the 80s. So we're going to take a look at the decade entirely and pick our favourites. Now, if you haven't seen our previous 10 best movies of the 80s, each episode is a year, then please do watch them. We're going to crack on. The way we're going to do it is we're going to sort of go in sequence, so we're all going to pick our number 3s, and then we're all going to talk about our number 2s and then our number 1s. So we'll might as well kick off with Alan, because he's on the far left here of the group.
Okay, my number 3 is a film that I hadn't seen a lot of. I used to hear Mark and our old friend Colin used to do this one in college, and this is Planes, Trains and Automobiles. I was late to the party on this one. I only saw this maybe 10, 15 years ago for the very first time in its entirety, and it stuck with me all this time because it's an amazing film. It's a really feel-good kind of film. You've got these two great opposite characters who are partaking in this horrendous journey just to get home on Thanksgiving. And for Steve Martin, you can see it etched on his face pretty much through the whole film. John Candy's happy-go-lucky. He's like, yeah, I do this all the time, it's fine. And Martin gets irked by Candy quite a lot. He does like his habits and all that kind of stuff. And it's comedy gold. It really is. It's fantastic. And I mean, Candy and Martin, I suppose, they were on a roll in this decade.
Yeah, it's true.
And you can't fault them. You can't fault them. I mean, the very first time you see Steve Martin, he's running for a taxi, beaten there by Kevin Bacon, and
a great cameo there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and of course, I think that's when you get a good look at John Candy's character, Dale Griffith.
That's right.
He pulls that face.
Yeah,
I think we all know the one.
Yeah. It's good. No, it's a great choice. I mean, I was lucky. I saw it when it came out on video. I was about 8 years old, I think, when it came out, and it was I just laughed my head off at it. Because it's very famous for a very particular scene towards the middle of the film where there's a lot of F words in a row. It's like a record, like 16 or 17 F words.
That's the reason they got the 15 rating. If it had not been for that one sequence, it probably would have been a PG. But because of that one sequence, when he's particularly irked that his car rental had messed up that day, he's gone straight in there and he's given this woman a barrage of F-bombs. She's not too pleased about it, but you can see... You've seen everything leading up to that point that you can see why he's pretty much peeved about it.
That's classic Steve Martin. Up until that point, he's been a very buttoned down Steve Martin, the one we're not used to. He's normally the wild, crazy guy and thing. But then you got John Candy thrown into the mix. It's he's just pushed him, and he's killing him with kindness, basically, isn't he?
It's that classic 80s movie.
Oh yeah, and it's John Hughes first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he that's got his touch and fingerprints throughout the film,
Brat Pack director.
Yeah, after Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller, he's just on a roll, and I think it's just, you can't get any better than that, really. It's, did you a fan, Paul?
It's wonderful. I bought it in 4K 2 years ago for 35th anniversary.
Yeah, me too.
It was 87, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, so it's the 35th anniversary. I bought it in 4K, and I watched it 2 years ago. I'd screened it, I hadn't seen it for a few years. And what's so amazing about, because I love it so much, I've seen it so many times, like you guys. And when it gets to that end scene, and I'm a wreck well when he comes back to in the train station. Yeah. And it's that moment where John Candy looks up there, and Steve Martin's actually come back for him for the first time. So he realises, okay, he's now my friend, so I can now tell him where Marie is, and it's that moment, and it's like even thinking about it now, I'm sort of welling up. I've got a lump in my throat, and that's John Hughes really. He just shocks you out of nowhere.
Don't expect it.
No, you don't expect it, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Executed.
And he's generally warm to the character by that point. That he comes back for it.
Because you get that little montage of me remembering all the things they've done previously in the film.
I know.
And the final shot of John Candy, a big smile on his face that I'm in a home with a loving family.
Yeah, that's the best.
And I'm here for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's it. And the song very fitting with Every Time You Go Away as well.
Yeah, it's perfect. He's always brilliant for songs, John Hughes.
He knows
the right moment, what to play. But no, I mean the other famous scene, of course, is them waking up in bed together.
Yeah.
With the
I know.
I mean,
there's quite a few deleted scenes in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Regarding that, the pizza guy.
there's like a whole.
It is. I watched the deleted scenes, and that was what I was really looking forward to. The first time you're seeing all these scenes that were cut from the film, which lasted for about an hour and a half, something like that. Yeah. And there was the guy that breaks into their room, that steals their wallets. Well, there's that whole montage of him coming and knocking on the door and delivering the pizza, and them really pissing him off or something like that. And he's like, that's the purpose of his revenge.
And he drops it, doesn't he? And he has to pick it up off the floor.
Yeah. God, I know. And I think, blimey, God, this is going on for ages as well.
I think that's how they shot a lot of the film. It was just freestyle, and they think, well, we just deal with it in the edit later on, Because I think there was an extra scene at the end where John Candy explains to Steve Martin and says, usually every year around this time I find someone, I kind of attach myself to them and live myself through their eyes for a bit, or through their lives, and feel like I get close to someone, and then I have to let them go because they're going home to their own families for Christmas. And that year I just found it hard to let go of you, Steve Martin. So, he's obviously been on his own for so many years, and he's just living out of that huge trunk he's got. And, but it's the best ending.
Selling ring curtains.
Shower curtains.
Shower
things.
Best shower curtain rings in the world.
Yeah. Of all the John Hughes films, that is my personal favourite of his. Yeah. But what made him, God rest his soul, John Hughes, a genius, is like, with his comedy being so brilliant and laughing throughout, he knew how to get to the heart as well, that's a genius for you. And with all his films, End of Home Alone with the old man, and Breakfast Club, where they all become friends at the end. He's a knack for it, of getting to the heart, and Planes, Trains.
And that's what I love about it. That's why it's my number 3. It's an amazing, feel good film. Makes you laugh.
Well, that's a great choice. Now I'm saying I'm very impressed with that.
Great choice. Well done, John Hughes.
Well done.
Okay, Jaff, you're next, man.
So my third would be Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
For me. Now, I suppose this is coming up again for the other three of you. I made Alan happy. I was thinking, I'm sure Alan's going to come up with and agree with me on Empire. Yeah, so that's my third from the 80s, and good work, Commander.
Sorry, carry on.
I love it. Carry on with the impersonations. You may take Captain Solo back to Jabba the Hutt. No.
Brilliant.
I'm trying to do my best.
That's not bad.
I mean, Alan always will agree with me. He's going to speak about Empire as well. I mean, it is my favourite of the Star Wars films. Yeah. Even though it plants the seeds for Empire, the continuation. But what makes it so special is Irving Kershner's directing. As much as it's George's vision, his story, I don't think he can direct it in a way that Irving Kershner can, because it's the love story that makes you believe in Han and Leia so much.
Would you say George is obviously he's great with the writing, great in his words, but as a director he's not that strong?
No, that's the thing. It needs a top man like Kershner to really bring it to the screen and do it justice. I think it is George is the genius behind it with the writing and the creativity. But the film has got everything, because every character is so pivotal. Like, it's not just about Luke Skywalker, not just about Han Solo. They all play their parts brilliantly, and it's a film where evil does win, but you still kind of root for Darth Vader, even though you're rooting for all of them at different times. You're still kind of rooting for Vader, but not to completely rule the galaxy. I think. I
think that this is completely sort of because we're not talking about the third one. But at the end of the third one, we have this montage, which was in sort of a remaking where they added.
Oh, the special editions in '97.
Yeah, and they had they went to different areas and they had people celebrating and stuff like that.
Yes.
What really got me was that the whole aspect of good and evil. And you think, well, was evil really evil and was good really good? Because that's a subtle thing that gets woven in towards the end of the third. By the end of the third one.
Yeah. We change it. He saves Luke, his son. You mean?
Well, I think the whole aspect of the story of good versus evil.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, what is good and then what is evil is the
it's
other
not
way around.
It's not
you know.
clear cut.
Well, even
that's
Because you have
bad.
the citizens, which are just completely.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan even says it. And again, it says in the third film. You know, it really depends on your point of view.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's a someone made an argument in one of the Star Wars games I played. I can't remember which one about the dark side, and I was like, oh, you got a few decent points. So that was good. That was why I thought I'd bring that up, because it is something that it makes you think if you go deep enough with the lore.
But it's visually spectacular.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it every time I watch it, and I screened it about, I think, a couple of years ago on 4K, and just looking again at the way it's shot, the visuals, and the way Hoth looks, and then Dagobah looks, and then even at the end in Cloud City, all of it is just stunning. Stunning.
And is it? I think you mentioned it when we reviewed it first time, Al. This is out when they remastered all the films in the '90s. This had the least amount of.
This had the least work done to it.
Yeah.
You look at New Hope, you look at Return of the Jedi, but then you go look at Empire Strikes Back, and they've added so very little to it. I mean, they fly around Cloud City when they arrive on Bespin.
Yeah.
The most impressive one for me is the Wampa, the snow monster at the beginning.
Right.
They redid that.
Yeah.
And in fact, Luke's hanging upside down. He's been iced up, and he hears this munching kind of sound and whatnot. So that's a terrible impression. But then he looks over and you see this massive hulking, big furry beast that's just gnawing on a raw piece of bone.
Yeah.
And you think, oh my good lord. Horrific.
It is.
But it's much better. But you do get when it actually lunges at him, you get the original shot of the Wampa.
Yes.
That's an original shot from 1980.
Yeah.
Just before he takes his arm off, and then obviously you go back to the new one with his arm missing.
Yeah.
Squealing like a
Stark pig.
stuck pig, I suppose. Yeah.
Pig on a honeymoon.
But yeah, it got the least little work, and I think I did say on the 81 I was not impressed with. They put one line in.
Oh yeah, what did they change?
They put one line in. Vader, he's dealt with Luke. He's kind of pissed. They think I didn't bring my son over to me, and he's walking, he's marching with his soldiers and commands behind him, and it's "Bring my shuttle" is what he says.
Yeah.
Bring my shuttle. But they changed it later on in Underline. It's alert my Star Destroyer to prepare for my arrival. No. Bring my shuttle.
It's a bit more to the point, isn't it? That one? What
He's
did they
pissed.
change it?
I have no idea.
Is it James Earl Jones' voice?
Yeah, James Earl Jones. He recorded the line. Bring my shuttle. And I'm not a fan of them changing Boba Fett's voice to Tamara Morrison. He sounds scared in this one. When he talks to Vader, it's like, what if what if he doesn't survive? He means a lot to me. Yeah. And he says it like it's like a reflection, like I'm scared.
Yeah.
Whereas the original Boba Fett was, well, if he doesn't survive, he's worth a lot to me. Giving Vader a bit of attitude.
Yeah.
And he's the only man who Vader lets live on this one. And if you speak to Vader that way, you're dead.
But they did make some dumbass, changes to it.
Yeah.
I mean, like at the end of the third one, instead of having the original actor who played Anakin, you have that new bell end.
Hayden Christensen. Yeah. It makes no sense.
I
totally agree. They should have just kept Sebastian Shaw in, because that's how Luke saw him. He didn't know he looked like as Anakin Skywalker back in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
See, the thing was that he loves tampering Lucas. I think he sort of can't leave well alone.
Yeah,
I understand coming from a creative person myself. I do understand how you look back at it and you think, oh no, I just want to
just tweak
here. And, all that, but there has to be a point where you
have to let it go.
Yeah, I think once someone in Hollywood said when they spoke about the Star Wars special editions, is said you don't see the Beatles going back and rejigging a couple of lyrics in Yellow Submarine or Help or whatnot.
No, exactly.
It's a masterpiece. And leave it as it is.
Leave it as it is. Yeah. That's it.
Digital touch-ups, fine. There's the odd little tweak here. we do the sound maybe, but you don't have to put in fully fledged CGI sequences.
No. I think Pete, you'll agree with me on this. Also, watching it again, for 1980, I was so impressed. The sequence going through the asteroid as well. I'm thinking, oh, that's bloody amazing for 1980.
That's actually one of my favourites. As a child, that's one of my favourites.
The whole ship model filming techniques were completely revolutionary for the time.
They were.
We spoke about this in the original episode, where it was just like. You just believe they were in space. It's like how they did it was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it was good. Even for the original Star Wars, the trench run and the Death Star.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Very clever.
It's mental.
I mean, as a kid, I used to love the sound effects. The TIE fighters.
Everything.
The TIE fighters, especially for me. And the fact that there's 3 of them chasing the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
They go into the asteroid field. Mm-hmm. One just gets whacked, bang, gone
straight away,
and another one just gets ticked, and he goes.
Yeah.
So they had to film all of those elements separately.
Yeah,
right.
Because when you think about it, you're like, Jesus Christ! And they had to stick this poor fucking ship on an arm, a black pole, and then sort of have it repeat again. They didn't have motion control cameras back then.
I think they did.
Yeah, very basic ones, I reckon. Yeah,
but there was. Yeah, it was because I know for the opening crawl, was shot on a motion control rig. You know, the opening of the credits.
Yeah.
And the camera projects itself onto space.
Yeah, I shouldn't be plugging them really, but there's a documentary series on D+, and it talks about ILM. It talks about the making of Star Wars films and everything else subsequent they've done.
You just went with D.
Yeah, we're not going to mention.
What's the D stand for? Yeah. Well, you got your own version. What D stands for?
Yeah.
Imagination.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So that's your second choice as well.
Well, Empire's actually it's actually my first one.
Oh, first. Okay.
I'll come back.
So what do we do?
That's fine.
Well, we talked about Empire Strikes Back.
That's fine.
We'll top it off.
We'll top it off.
I'll come back to it. It's having
There's a few other moments in there I'll talk about later on.
Out then.
No. Well, we can sort of save bits for later. Possibly.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. So that was my third favourite.
Fantastic choice, by the way.
In the 80s.
Good choice. Good choice.
All right, Mark. Your third.
I'm gonna go stick with the what Alan started, a comedy angle with Airplane.
Oh, yes.
Airplane.
Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, I mean it's
endless quotes.
There's so many of these. It's such a very broad comedy. It's not everyone's cup of tea, I don't think, but it's it led to the Naked Gun and all these sort of wonderful spoofs like that. But I saw this young, and it's just stuck with me throughout my life, and I still use quotes from it. Today even, and it's and even my niece, she's like 9 years old now, and she's discovered it, and she gets a big kick out of it as well. I think she laughs at me laughing at it more than the film, personally, because the whole Staying Alive Saturday Night Fever sequence and everything, she laughs at that. But all those silly things, but. For me, it's just there's so much packed into it. It's quite a short film. It's only like 90 minutes, but there's like a joke every second or two. They're always, if they're not a verbal joke, then it's a physical joke in the background or something going on.
Yeah, they're either cracking a joke. They're either cracking a joke or they're building up to one.
Yeah. Or there's just something in the background, and they're happening.
Or
there's something visual on screen that these great the Zucker brothers, they're absolutely brilliant. Just created this world, and their masterstroke obviously was casting previous to this film. They were straight actors, like Leslie Nielsen was a straight actor, believe it or not. He was the captain on the Poseidon Adventure.
Yeah, I watched him in an episode of Columbo again.
He was great in Columbo.
Weird seeing him as a serious actor.
Yeah, he did a couple of Columbo. He was in one of them. He was murdered by Patrick McGowan on a beach. It was quite a good episode. That Geronimo.
Did you count them?
He's very good at. But he got him and Peter Graves from Mission Impossible as the Captain Nova, who's he takes an interest into the young boy. I mean, it sounds extremely dodgy now when you say it in a 21st century thing, but it was a little bit more. I don't want to say innocent, but it was a bit more lowbrow, kind of like, do you like movies about gladiators, Joey? And ever seen a grown man naked? All these sort of things. Obviously, it was dodgy then, but you could laugh in a way that it was. You didn't feel dirty for laughing at it. It was because he wasn't going to hurt the boy, and it was a comedy, and it was just the way he was just asking. It was just such a bizarre thing to ask a
I know,
child in the
I know.
first
That was
place.
the joke.
Yeah, that's the joke.
Yeah.
That is certainly.
You know, and having this real life basketball player as a co-pilot, you know, who the kid susses who he is, and but then the main actors, you know, the guy playing Ted Stryker and the stewardess, you know, he's got a drinking problem and he can't actually drink properly. He just pours it on his face, and stupid jokes, repetitive jokes as well. You know, like. When someone asks a question, they go, "Oh, you know, this man's got to go to a hospital. A hospital? What is it?" And, "Oh, it's a big building with patients and sick people."
That's not important right now.
Yeah, you know, and they repeat that various versions of it and throughout. But I don't know. It's what I love about it is that I've seen it countless times and it still makes me laugh.
But
And there's very
who's
few films.
the airport controller guy? Because I picked a bad day to give up drinking.
Oh yeah, that's Lloyd Bridges, who's Jeff Bridges' father in real life, and he's like, yeah, I picked the wrong week for smoking, I picked the wrong week for drinking, for sniffing glue and
Creating amphetamines.
yeah, and he's great. He's just I forgot about him, and then my other favourite character is Johnny, who's just like he's the only one who's sort of in on the joke in the film. It's just like, how about some coffee, Johnny? No thanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know,
Stephen Stucker.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he's
Who bought you that dress and the shoes?
awful. That coat, jeez. And because it's based on a real life film. This is an interesting fact. I don't know if I mentioned it on the original, but it was a real life 1950s drama called 0 Hour, I think it is. And the real characters, Ted Stryker and all these sort of people. And they play it straight. So what they did is the film was up for rights. They took the film, didn't change much of the dialogue, but just put the jokes in and all like that. And it's but you can find it on YouTube. I think 0 Hour, and it's you know, some of the dialogue is the people get sick with food poisoning, and the passenger Ted has to land the plane, but he's got PTSD from the war, and and they play it straight, and it's even more funnier, I think, you know, as funny as Airplane, you know. Yeah. Even the bit of dialogue where the boy comes on with a coffee, would you like some coffee? Oh, I'll take it black, like my men. Yeah. They obviously added in like my men, but the rest of it up until then is exactly the same. So it's it's little things like that. I don't know how they thought they will make this into a film with these sort of jokes, because I don't think really had spoofs to that degree before. You know,
no, it was lightning in a bottle, really.
Yeah, it really was, and they obviously went on to great things with Leslie Nielsen and you know, with Naked Gun and Top Secret as well.
Top Secret,
sort of a hidden gem with
Scary Movie later on.
And Scary Movie, yeah, all these Hot Shots.
Yeah, Hot Shots.
Yeah, I like Hot Shots.
You know, so it's for me, yeah, Airplane. I can't, you know, it's such a big thing for me, so I have to. That's my number 3.
There's a little intricacies. I just piss myself. And when the stewardess is coming back down the aisle with the guitar and she's bashing everyone's head. And every time I see that scene, I just
it's the sound effects.
It's a bang, 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 bang. I know, it's just absolutely hilarious.
A coffee at home.
Yeah, I love that. She's trying to calm the woman's hysterical, and they're slapping her.
Yeah,
and Leslie Nielsen gets an extra slap in there, you know, and the whole queue of people just waiting to abuse her. She's hysterical, and the two black guys talking jive talk to each other, and the old lady goes, "Oh, it's all right, stewardess. I speak jive. Just hang loose, blood.
Just chill, blood.
And you know, it's just little things like that.
Back at air traffic control as well, you've got the washing machine next to the guy taking his washing out of the machine.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. There's always a joke of a visual background.
I know. So he's picking up on those little intricate moments.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
I love it. It's what can I say? It's just, it rewards on repeat viewing. There's very few films you can watch so many times and still get something out of it. So,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah, you gotta love it.
Good choice, Mark.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
good. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so
What about you, Peter?
Yeah, you.
my turn. Okay, so I mean, like this, fairly difficult to pick because there's so many movies in the 80s that I absolutely adore.
There's one in particular that you.
Yeah, it's Blade Runner, but remarkably, this isn't in the list. So my third pick is going to be Coming to America. I absolutely love Coming to America, and my 3 picks, by the way, are ones that you can just watch repeatedly and never get bored.
Yeah.
I'd take them to a desert island if I could. So
Because these are our 3 faves, aren't they? They're not necessarily the 3 best films, you know, won loads of awards.
All of these
and things
picks
like
are our favourites. So for me, third one is Coming to America. Absolutely love it. Eddie Murphy in his prime. and James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader.
Akeem.
And you Arsenio Hall, and then you have like
wonderful,
Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall playing a variety of different characters.
Yeah, multiple roles. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just so original. Again, it was one of those lightning in a bottle movies. Just the epitome of the 80s. The pacing of the movie and the jokes, so genuine. And the different characters that they play, they're just absolutely just like the preacher guy. There's a God somewhere. There's a God. Yeah, I absolutely love him.
And the band.
Yeah, Sexual Chocolate.
Sexual Chocolate. Yeah, and then you have Soul Glow as well.
Yeah.
Soul Glow.
It's excellent choice because it's John Landis, isn't it, who did Trading Places.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy.
They got the Big Mac. I got the Big Mick.
The Big Mick, yeah. That's such a great thing as well. He's got the McDonald's handbook
Under his desk.
under his desk, like running his restaurant. And great cameo from Sam Jackson as well, wasn't it? As he tries to hold the
Who the
shotgun.
fuck is this asshole?
I mean, it's a very quintessential performance from him before we knew who he was, really.
That literally stamped his character type.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's great, but it's but yeah, and it's I like the little tiny nods to with Trading Places and having the Duke brothers.
Yes, there's a little sort of element of that when he's sort of whining and dining this bird, and they're sort of they're playing tramps because this is after Trading Places.
Yeah,
So
it's a good nod to that.
And he says, "Hey, Mortimer, I'm still not talking to you." And he gives him a cash for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And Mortimer, we're back. I like that. For me personally, I think it's a nice little moment.
That is a good moment.
Film, all of things like that. But no, it's a funny film. I think it's one of those ones that doesn't get talked about enough. And in fact, they did a sequel, didn't they?
Yes, not so good.
No.
I've not seen it, and I don't wish to, but it received.
I did, but I don't want to comment on that. So
No, fair enough.
So for me, it is just literally the first one, and it's a product of its time. It's just one of those movies that just worked. Everything just came together brilliant.
it shows you also a testament to Eddie of how amazing he was in the 80s.
Yeah.
His timing.
He was, because this
was
is
just absolutely impeccable. Yeah.
his character is great. I think I mentioned it on the original one that it's totally different from 48 Hours and Axel Foley.
Yeah.
And all that, because Akeem is someone who's very optimistic and happy, and it's not like his usual motor mouth kind of roles of like, a smart ass trying to, work his way out and, trouble sort of thing. He's actually upbeat and positive, and he sees the good in everyone, and I think that's a nice character for him to play. I know he plays the barber and all that, and they're all swearing their heads off and everything, but it's
What does dumb fuck mean?
And all the other little characters, like the landlord who wants to swap apartments because he's got like a jacuzzi. I know. He spent a few quid. He goes, I just need to pamper myself.
It's a real shithole.
But I love that. And
playing the Jewish guy in the bar. He's amazing. Even as a Jewish guy, he's wonderful.
Yeah, he's one of
the whole bar scene with the various types of women that they're talking to.
Oh yeah. They're interviewing all the women doing all the shots.
Brilliant, yeah.
And then there's Arsenio Hall in drag. I'm going to tear you apart. And friend too.
Shows you how talented he really is.
No, he was. This was. I think the 80s was Eddie Murphy's.
It was.
decade.
That was his time, wasn't it? Yeah.
Good choice.
Great choice. Yeah.
Not much else to say about it. It's a classic. So let's move on to our number twos.
Number two.
That's not a euphemism.
No. For me, number two is a bit of a genre splicer.
Yeah.
And that is Predator from 1987.
Nice.
That's a good one.
I mean, if you don't see the first literally 30 seconds, you think it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger action vehicle. You've got these commandos who've been tasked for the job to go into this jungle to basically rescue a team that's gone missing, but obviously pick up a sort of a high value target. And obviously the late great Carl Weathers. God rest you, sir.
Yeah,
plays Dylan, who's
Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan.
You son of a bitch.
Just great meme.
Yeah, it's great. It's the best character intro I think for a character, because I used to work with a guy called Dylan, and us of a certain generation couldn't say Dylan without saying Dylan, you son of a bitch, and then trying to slap him. And he just look at you like what the hell are you? Why do you keep saying this to me?
It's just like a testosterone dripping.
The first like 20 minutes or so when they get into this jungle, you've got all these hardcore sort of Marines, and talking, bantering, talking shit and all that.
Yeah.
And then they come down, they find these skinned bodies like hanging up, thinking these sick bastards, what they done?
Yeah,
that's it. We're gonna go in there. That's it. They're dead.
That's a brilliant point you put it out, because if you miss the first 30 seconds, you really think it would. But that first 30 seconds is this spaceship.
Yeah, basically, it's orbit. It just flies. It does like literally a drive-by,
and drops the predator
drops the predator in his own personal pod.
But it's never explained what it is.
No, you never actually see this thing. I remember, I think I said in the original 87 podcast, my mum rented it from Extravision video rental.
Right.
And I asked her before into school that morning, Mum, what was the film like last night? And she said, it's just like a big crab. I went, okay. That's how my mum described it, with pincers and whatnot. I thought, okay. So it wasn't until later I saw it myself.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me, because I think, as I said, it's just a genre slicer. It's a sci-fi, it's an action film.
Yeah.
And it's literally, it's like testosterone fueled Americana.
It's also Arnie getting up to his peak. Arnie.
This is Arnie at his finest. I mean, he did Commando the year before.
Terminator before that.
He'd done Terminator before that.
Conan.
So he was a big household name, and he's always going against these little despots, if you like, in these previous movies. And this one, he's up against someone who's bigger than him. Kevin Peter Hall was something like 7 feet tall. This actor's massive actor.
Big guy.
He's huge if you see him. I mean, he's in the film, as I said previously in the other podcast. He's in the film at the very end as the helicopter pilot.
Yes.
Who picks him up. That's actually Kevin Peter Hall.
The actor who plays the Predator.
And Bigfoot, and Harry Henderson.
Oh, he's Bigfoot.
He's Bigfoot. You can tell by the way he runs.
Yeah.
He runs exactly the same way.
I didn't know that. I never did.
So that's and the finale, obviously, when the Predators picked off this whole elite team, because it's trophy hunter, isn't it?
Yes.
You're thinking, I like this. This is good. They got weapons. They can fight back. Yeah, this is what I like. So this is what he's doing. He's just picking them all off one by one. And then it comes down to Arnie, who works out that this thing sees everyone through heat. Vision and all that.
Thermal imagery.
Thermal imagery. That's it. Thank you. Yeah. And it's that one shot. That one shot when he goes down this slide, because you don't really see this thing in its Kintari. You see bits of his hand and his leg and stuff like that, and there's like a shot from a long shot, if you should say. And it's not until it comes out the water, and Arnie's all covered in mud, and he's thinking, well, this is it. I'm done for. Yeah. And it comes out, and its camouflage system starts short circuiting and all that. And as it comes up, you get a good look at this thing. You think, oh my god. And as it rises from the water and it sort of stomps its way towards him, and Arnie's like, fuck, dead. Do it, go on, whatever.
Get it over with.
And then it's just looking around, and it targets some little mongoose or something, fires at that. The predator gets pissed, thinks, fuck, that's not him. Where is he?
So he can't see him.
Off I go. And that's Arnie thinks, he can't see me. That's it. He can't see me at all.
Yeah.
So blocks his however he sees.
It's cleverly shot, and a big credit to John McTiernan.
Again, I was going to say.
Yeah, John McTiernan. I say on a tear. Predator that year, Die Hard the year after.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's great. And he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, and I should say, because Arnie's a massive physical actor, obviously he tries fighting this thing like one-on-one, doesn't win, because obviously this thing's bigger, stronger than him. And it comes down to brains over brawn at the end of the day.
It used to be Jean-Claude Van Damme, didn't it?
Yeah, he did. God, he was cast as the Predator. He's in the film.
He is actually.
He is actually in the film. But only as in camouflage mode. There's that typical. There's a pose as Jean-Claude Van Damme does with the leg out. Oh, it's almost like a superhero pose. That's only Van Damme imagery in the film, and he's camouflage. You can't make it out as him, but it's his pose in the film.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because the original Predator looked like a dog, like a lizard dog, and when he used to run through the forest, his head was wobbling, and John McTiernan goes, "I need something. This is not working for me." So he rang James Cameron, who was on a plane at the time, and he said, "I'm stuck. What am I going to do? This thing's not working. It's wobbling. It looks rubbish. I'm making some horrible film. I've got these great actors here. We're in the middle of this." South American forest, and this thing's not working. What can you do? And Cameron's like, well, funny enough, I've got Stan Winston with me. What do you need?
Yeah, I've got the best guy in the business.
Yeah, and he said, he goes, how long have I got? He says, well, you know, give me a week, and I'll draw something up. Apparently, he faxed something over. Showed how long ago that was. He faxed a picture over he drew it up on the plane, faxed it down to him.
Amazing.
And then obviously, it's this big thing: netting, dreadlocks, pincers, mask.
Yeah.
The rest is history, I suppose. So Predator, love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it.
Brilliant.
Is that last 35-40 minutes where it's really just Arnie and the Predator, and it's so like subtly effective as well with just two people. It just shows no dialogue. It shows you sometimes it's just something like that. It thinks, you know what? It doesn't need to be big, grandiose action. That's just effective enough.
The suspense.
The tension.
The
He does his big raw Tarzan.
Yeah. Obviously, to bring the Predator into bring Predator in.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. It's as Paul rightly says, it's not about explosions and actions. It's the tension that it builds. You got two
Exactly.
Hunters, predator and a predator. They're actually out to get. Who's going to get? Because it could go either way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a given that Arnie's going to win.
No, and it's a brilliant creature, by the way. It's an amazing looking creature.
Yeah, the design.
Very well designed, so well created.
I can see what your mum meant now by the crab.
Yeah, the way his pincers open. Because he punches it, and he takes his. Obviously, comes down to it, and the Predator's like, well, whatever, takes his shoulder cannon off, and just leaves his arm blades on, takes his helmet off, and then that's when you see this thing, and Arnie's like, "You're one ugly motherfucker." And the pose, it's the pose. It's the pose that Kevin Peter Hall does as the Predator. When he takes the mask off, the hands are out, he's crouched over, and it's that roar of like, "Let's fucking go, let's go."
Yeah.
Oh,
That's good. And I don't think there was anything before it you can compare it to, really.
no.
That's
very
what I think
unique.
that's why it sticks out.
Yeah, that's why it's so memorable.
It is, and in the end, unfortunately, like with most franchises, they just keep Hollywoodifying it, and turn it into something it's not supposed to be. Just stick with the original.
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of like the 1930s horror stuff, like Swamp Man and
Or Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
I swear there must have been a Swamp Man as well. But
There's a Swamp Thing, but that's a
Swamp Thing.
That's a 1980s one with from Wes Craven.
Okay, but it's a similar formula layout to that, but as you said, you've got that genre flip where it's like for the first half it's like a sort of this action film, Commando, and then it just spins into this whole science fiction sort of predator thing.
Yeah.
So that's a good call.
Yeah, so that's my number 2.
Excellent.
Okay, Paul.
Right, my second favourite of the 80s. This is exactly 40 years. This is Once Upon a Time in America.
Oh, excellent
So
choice.
switching now to crime, the crime genre. Just to put into a little bit of context, the controversial history of the US theatrical release. I'm sure you guys know about it. And really, what's so heartbreaking is Sergio Leone, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
I think really because this was his like big passion project for like 10 years, he tried to get this to the screen. It was adapted from the book called The Hoods.
The Hoods, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like his dream project for so many years, and he finally got to make it. And when they premiered it at Cannes for the original like 3.5 hour movie. It got an absolutely standing ovation and everything, and the critics loved it. The audience loved it. Said it was the most amazing, most beautiful film. And then unfortunately, and going back to when they released it in America, they butchered it to like 139 minutes. And not only that, they actually made it chronologically, which is
non-linear.
The purpose of the film is watching it non-linear, weaving back and forth in different timelines and different periods, which makes it so special. And that's why the story is so good and why it works like that. But to actually watch it chronologically, what they actually did to it and butcher it, I just think it broke his heart, and it contributed sadly to his death a few years later. I don't think he ever recovered from it.
No, he didn't. No, they do that in America. They did it to the Godfather films. When they showed them on TV, they decided to do them chronologically. Yeah. And just completely flatten because it's great in the particularly the second one was obviously flashbacks and forwards, but if you put all the flashbacks together at the beginning, it just kind of goes from Vito as a boy. And then he arrives in America, but there's no breathing space in between. It just is, and it kind of takes the brilliance of it.
I know.
Was But I don't know why Americans do that. They just think people don't understand what a flashback is.
No,
perhaps.
they don't. They completely and utterly ruined it. They destroyed it pretty much. So that's why it didn't do well theatrically, because the critics and the people thought, well, it wasn't that good.
Yeah.
But if you'd have seen what they actually showed at Cannes, the film, how it's supposed to be shown, how it's supposed to be screened, then you'd understand, thinking, wow, this is an absolute magnum opus of a movie from
It fared
Sergio
better
Leone.
in Europe, didn't it?
It fared better in Europe. Then obviously throughout time, then the US have got to see the original Sergio Leone cut, and that's been more well revered through time and more appreciated. But so sad. It is the most beautiful film. It was. I mean, De Niro again, when he's on, he's really on and playing a Jewish gangster, and James Woods also at the top of his game. The performances are just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, it's. I agree with you. I mean, because Sergio Leone, just by on himself, is the Clint Eastwood Dollars trilogy and Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh yeah.
So this is to go from those westerns and then doing this crime, as Paul mentioned, to doing a film that he wanted to make for so many years, and then finally getting it down. And the locations are great, the actors are great. The music is, just, it's probably the best Morricone score.
Yeah, my favourite.
There's a tragedy in the, I believe, it wasn't submitted to the Oscars in time. He would have been a shoo-in that year, I reckon, to win, because he was overdue to win.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they didn't get it submitted in time.
It was cursed in every way, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's one of those films that fared better over it's almost like a bit of a cult film in a way.
Yeah.
That people would talk about it, and you never quite saw the full version. And it's only later on with DVD, I think, and then on Blu-ray you got to see it as intended. But what's interesting, when we talked about this originally, Pete hadn't seen it.
What did you think, Pete, when you saw it?
I don't know what version I saw.
Was it long?
It was a long one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Chances are you'll
fucking long. I mean, it is long.
I didn't appreciate it as much as you guys.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
There's a couple of scenes I felt were like really uncomfortable and unnecessary.
No, but you're right.
Yeah, I know what scenes you're referring
But
to.
I guess that was the point. I don't know, but like you could have sort of cut away a lot quicker.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I think that the problem with these directors, and I'm not slating them, I think they're absolutely fantastic, but you need an opposite alongside him to sort of counteract off each other and say, no, that's a bit too long. Maybe you should sort of do it a bit shorter, and then because sometimes you come up with ideas that you wouldn't have done if you had someone. Had your sort of like devil's advocate on your shoulder or something.
I think you're right in that sense. There's Tarantino, I think, has got that problem now, in the sense that he had a great editor called
Sally Menke.
Sally Menke.
God rest her soul.
Yeah, she was terrific, because I think she'd be the one to say this has gone on too long, or you don't need that. And she worked from his first film up until Inglourious Basterds, I believe. And then since then, I think his films have suffered from that little bit of excess. This is going on. Just the scene's a little bit too long, or you should have cut it earlier. And I think you're with Django and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's got a little bit. You just need a little bit of like. You're indulging yourself a little bit too much. Things. So
I think you've got a point there.
What Pete's mentioning was you're absolutely right. You do need that, but also I think this is more of an era where directors had full control over their projects.
Yes.
I mean, we know you mentioned Blade Runner earlier. I mean, he did.
It was the era where directors were allowed to experiment because Hollywood was suffering at the time. So
they did allow
these producers or these top people needed some real hits, and so they just they gave these directors.
They indulged them. They didn't because nowadays I think the directors don't have that much creative freedom. Unless you are a big superstar director like Tarantino or Ridley Scott or whatever, but certain directors, the producers or the studios now step in and go, "Oh, we don't like this," or we'll show it to a test audience. If they don't like it, we're just going and change it regardless of what you think. So it's a real shame. But no, it's a great shame with Once Upon a Time. It wasn't appreciated as much. Another interesting point actually, and I don't know what you think of if you've heard of this theory. That the whole film is, it starts off with De Niro in the opium den and ends with him in the opium den.
Yes.
And the whole film can be argued as one long dream of him in this thing. And there's a few reasons for it. One being the character of Deborah is love who he loves. As De Niro's character gets older, she never ages. You know, so he always sees her as he remembered her.
Yes.
Sort of thing. Because I always thought when he goes to see her as an older man, she's still young looking. And then having the actor who plays the young James Woods playing James Woods' son later on.
Yes.
You know, it's like little things. Yeah, because he'd be, you know, tiny little things like that as a little opium dream. You know, wishing this is how I wish it could have gone, or something. You know, it's just a theory. I mean, obviously there's arguments for and against, but I don't know if you've heard that.
No,
theory.
I've never heard that theory. No, I mean, what I love about those films as well, it's like audience interpretation.
Absolutely,
do love.
yeah.
I love that.
It's like Shutter Island. You can
Like-
sort of interpret it.
Yeah. I love it where the audience, you know, decides, you know,
spoon-fed to you.
yeah, they're not spoon-fed. They decide on what they believe it's all about,
Yeah.
and it's their opinion, and I love that.
Yeah.
And that is also it's quite a good analysis of that, a good interpretation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, it's good. It's great that you had films like that, like as you rightly say. You
Yeah.
know, we could all see the same film and we all have a different interpretation of it. You know, it's that's
Exactly.
great. You know, it's not like, oh, this is the definite ending.
No.
This is what it is, and underlined and full stop and everything. You know, so you can take what you want from it. You know, it's just. It's a shame we don't get those sort of films.
No, I think if he was going to make that today, it would be a Netflix limited
Yes.
series. I think something like that.
I think you're right. Yeah, and a lot of things they probably wouldn't allow.
No.
Or they change. You know,
Yeah.
for certain reasons.
Oh, of course. I know.
So we should appreciate we had them when we did.
Oh, absolutely. No.
That's a whole other podcast,
Absolutely.
right?
That is.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
I know.
Excellent choice, though.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. So there you
Okay.
go.
So
My number two.
yes.
You're number two.
Number two. My number two is a little film called Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is, the first
An
of the-
applause for that one.
Yeah. There you go. Yes, I mean, I love all the indies, you know, particularly the original trilogy. But yeah, if I had to pick one, and I do, it is this one. Obviously, the first one I saw, and it just gave birth to this great, character, but also reinvented a genre. You know,
Yes.
the adventure serial, which hadn't sort of been seen for many years, and it was just great. They took what was quintessentially a B film with an A film budget and effects and everything, and they just went for it. And it's I think I mentioned it previously on the when we first looked at it. Spielberg really wanted to tackle a Bond style film, and Lucas was like, well, I've got something like that. It's called originally Indiana Smith, and Spielberg's like, well, I think Jones sounds better. Okay, fine. Literally it's as quick as that.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah, it was Indiana Smith. Indiana was, in fact, Lucas's dog's name.
Right.
So it just and the Smith was just the name he just thought just sounded generic, and he said, well, Jones sounds better.
It does.
And it just literally is as quick as that. But it's without you can't think of anyone but Ford. But originally it was Tom Selleck from pre-Magnum fame.
That's right.
And having looked at your screen test, I think it would have been all right. But he might not have been as classic film as
Did he have his
becomes.
cock broom?
Yes, he had a proper
Cock
broom mustache. Yeah,
Cool.
Ned Flanders special.
Yeah.
But you can probably find the audition on YouTube somewhere. But it's actually quite decent. I can see the type of character they were going for, and Lucas was very reluctant to use Ford because he's used Ford in Star Wars, obviously, and previously in American Graffiti, and he just didn't want to keep using the same actors. He always wanted to use like someone new. But Spielberg's like, I think he'd be good. Let's get Harrison in, and he just can't think of anyone but Harrison. And I think Harrison Ford would be the first person to say it's his favourite role he's played.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because
he's very
I know he's
proud
very
of it.
hesitant to talk about Star Wars and everything, but he's always enthusiastic to talk about indie. And regardless of what the later films became, he always gave it his all. I'm not knocking the actor. He always gave it 100%. So it's but it's just a magical film. It's just got an old-fashioned adventure romp with A-list director, and it was also interesting that Spielberg, up until that point, he was famous for going over budget and over the time on his shoots, and Lucas was like, look, I'm producing this, so you can't go over budget, and you can't shoot extra days. And the reason he was going over budget, because he was indulging himself in the sense that, I want to get this shot right. And he spent days and days, trying to get the shot right. He says, what I'm going to do is just do it on the cuff. If I don't get it in 2 takes, I'll just move on. And once he had that freedom, he sort of like, he found that not only did they get the film made under budget and under time, it developed a whole new style for Spielberg. That just...
Yes.
Let's just not waste time trying to make it look like the shot out of Lawrence of Arabia. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, just move on. It just kind of loosened him up a bit, and that film has that feeling of looseness and
yes,
because he just flows naturally from one scene to the next. It's No, I don't know. It just again, repeat value. I love it. You get so much out of it. It's nostalgic too.
Yeah, of course. It's set in a very realistic world as well, because obviously you got the.
Yeah, well, it's realistic and you obviously we have Nazis and the history element, but also you got the supernatural element with the
the Ark of the Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant, and and then what happens at the end. I'm surprised they got away with that. What they did for a PG. Any other film, melting faces and exploding heads.
Yeah, I heard that they had to fire in front of
Belloc.
Yeah,
they had to add fire. If they didn't have that, it would have got an 18, I think.
Yeah.
But why the film would end that way? It's just.
It's very horrific for a PG, isn't it?
Very horrific.
I mean, look at Alfred Molina. They find him impaled at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Blood all over him, everything like that, and spikes through various points of his body.
That's a good point. No, I think all the original trilogy of indie films, they had those dark, violent moments, and characters would get shot and be bloody and spit blood, and when they got punched, they'd be all battered and bloody, and But it's I don't know. I think it's kind of missing in films nowadays.
I think I love the suggested deaths in the films.
Yeah,
like Bomber. The big mechanic,
the German mechanic with the
in the plane, and he just turns around and you get that, you get and then splatter of blood.
That's the sound effect.
Yeah. And you get that suggestive thing, even with Last Crusade, when he fights the Germans on the tank.
Yeah.
One gets smacked and he goes over the treads, the big thing, and that's it. And that's it.
Treads,
You don't see what happens to him. You know what's happened to him.
You know what's happened to him. You don't need to see it.
And that's what I love. I love things like that. It's great little moments like that.
But that's Spielberg. Just
Spielberg knows. You know what's happened to this guy.
He knows what he's doing. Yeah.
You don't have to see it.
You don't have to see it. It's and also it's because the second film, the Last Crusade, Temple of Doom, it went a bit darker, and I think Last Crusade it went a bit lighter with the comedy. So I think the original one with Raiders, it has enough of the dark and a little bit of humour. It's not too much either way, and that's why I like it probably the most.
I agree.
Well, the original is still by far the best. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, my order actually is 1, 2, 3. Don't talk about the other two. But I just love also the casting of Karen Allen in it as well. I just think she's perfect, and she's got this sort of like girl next door. And also a very, very tough heroine as well.
She could hold her own. She wasn't going to be pushed around by Indiana Jones.
No. She combines the two really, really well. She does it brilliantly.
She was a very strong, willed character, and she can handle herself.
Yeah,
and she could outdrink everyone as well. I love that. Yeah. She outdrinks the patrons in the bar, and also outdrinks the villain to escape. Because he's getting drunk, and she can drink him under the table.
Yeah, I know she holds her own, but that's why she really makes you believe in her character. She really,
100%.
really does.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, she's so also wonderful casting and. Yeah. Harrison, he does it so sarcastically brilliant. He plays so sarcastically.
He can be quite dry, can't he? Like a martini. He can be a thing, but then he can sell it when he needs to be, if he has to be dramatic or
I know
in the sense of a dangerous moment.
Yeah, and the timing from him as well, and it's just brilliant.
And it's all underscored with John Williams and all the thing. He's got a great theme. It's just.
Wonderful.
You can just put the films on and just lose yourself in them for a couple of hours.
I know. But it's a great choice, Mark.
Well,
I think when
you'd agree.
they've asked the hardcore cinephile thing. I mean, we're hardcore cinephiles, but hardcore cinephiles in general around the world, they actually do say it's Spielberg's best film. They say Raiders is the best.
Yeah,
it's their favourite.
It's interesting, I said he banded his approach. He said out of all the films, that's the one he can watch. He very rarely watches his own films. But with that one, he does, because he wasn't as invested with the whole prep and everything like that. He shot it so loosely that when he rewatches it, he's like, "Oh, I wonder what's going to happen next."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I've gone from that to that,
Yes.
And so he enjoys it in that sense. That he surprised himself, from going from a shoot from the hip thing. Like the whole shooting the Arab swordsman, was all improvised, because Harrison Ford was sick with dysentery and was I don't know if you know that story.
No, don't.
Oh no, they all got sick in Tunisia.
Oh right, no,
with food poisoning. All the food was really bad, and so you see Ford running through the market and he's sweating away. And in between takes, him and John Rhys Davies, they're always running to the toilet because everything they ate just had really bad diarrhea. So the scene, it's on the DVD he's supposed to have a whole whip fight with the guy with the big sword, and they started choreographing it. And on the day they were filming it, Harrison Ford's like, I just can't stand up much longer. I've got to go and sit down. He was so physically vomiting as well as diarrhea. So he said, let's just shoot the son of a bitch. And so Spielberg was like, that's actually quite a good idea. So the guy's flinging his sword. He's been practicing for months, and Ford just goes bang. But the audience loved it because it's such a great comedic moment along with the music and everything. It just sometimes those things are just born out of necessity. There was a similar scene with Salah as well, where he was when he's helping Indiana Jones down the map room, and a German soldier, they pull Salah away.
Yeah.
Well, originally one of them was going to shoot him as a for some reason, and so he had his hands on his head apparently, and he was just bending. John and Spielberg was going, just squat down a bit more into frame, just squat down. And he says, as I squat down, I just went. And just filled his costume up with, that lunch. He says, all right, we'll just cut this scene because we've got to clean you up. And so you can probably cut that bit out. I just thought I'd tell you that. Just it's on the DVD. The way he tells it, John Rhys Davies, is quite.
I'll listen to that.
But you'd be sure on that bit.
They look great in 4K, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you got the box set as well.
Yeah,
all the three look amazing in 4K. Yeah. They did a great job restoring them.
Yeah. So that's it. Number two.
Good. Okay, so my number two is Trading Places.
Oh yes.
Just because again, it's like my third choice, which was it's just.
Eddie Murphy on fire.
Yeah, it's a perfect movie. It's like you can just watch it again. You can put it on repeat, and you'd never get bored. You always spot something new, and you just always appreciate the jokes.
It's great. It's the Prince and the Pauper done for laughs, right?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And you've got these two
contrasting styles.
Yeah, and the guy, I've forgotten his name.
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd. He plays it the posh person really well.
He plays Snooty unbelievably well.
Yeah,
he's
perfect.
He's Lewis Winthorpe III.
Yes.
He just looks down his nose at everyone. It's only he can do it that well. He's just so brilliant.
Yeah,
I love him in this.
And then you've got Eddie Murphy's stark contrast. The first scene we see of him is he's in, was it Central Park or something like that?
Oh, it's Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like a tramp, and he's trying to con money out of people and stuff like that. So the way all of that works.
Yeah.
They swap roles. Then you've got the Duke brothers.
Yeah.
And then you've got
great actors.
The female.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
That's the one.
She's amazing. Yeah.
She's great.
Playing a prostitute with morals. Well, that's a rare thing these days.
Yeah. We've been seeing the wrong kind of prostitute.
Yeah. And the way they get back at the Dukes for fucking them over and stuff is really good. Yeah, it's just a perfect movie for me, and it's one of those movies that you put on if you were ill. You know what I mean? Like,
it makes you feel better. It makes you laugh. No, I think it's a great film. I mean, it's endured over the years. I mean, again, people call it a Christmas film now.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a Christmas film.
As I say, Dan Aykroyd's terrific in it, and so is Murphy, and they really do bounce off each other. And as I say, having Jamie Lee Curtis is really good. She actually could do comedy as well, and she was, absolutely a peak
Plus you got Denham Elliott.
And Denham Elliott, yeah. I don't know if we mentioned on the original one, but he's originally
It's Coleman, yeah.
Originally they approached Ronnie Barker from the two Ronnies to play Coleman, because John Landis was making American Werewolf in London, and on his downtime he was flicking through the TV channels, and one of them I think was he's watching Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson, and he said, I want these guys for my film, and he originally Rick Mayall was in American Werewolf in the end, but he couldn't get Adrian Edmondson. He was busy doing something else. But yeah, he wanted Ronnie Barker for Coleman, but he was tied to open all hours or something. He couldn't free the time.
Oh, that's a shame.
Because he just thought he was a brilliant actor, which he was. But Denham Elliott is also brilliant. I mean, he's perfect in a way because he's the perfect gentleman butler.
Yeah.
But it's all the little side things he does, like he's nipping the drinks at the party and calling one of the dukes when he hangs up, like, what a scumbag. And he's just like all these little character moments that sneak out. And he's pretending to be drunk on the train as an Irish priest.
That's it.
And it was all little things. But I mean, it's all perfectly formed. As Pete says, it's a nice little story. The good people win and the bad people get,
Yeah, it's nicely rounded.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy coming into his own again, and Dan Aykroyd.
And it's a grown-up comedy with swearing and nudity and
Plenty of adult themes,
very adult
drugs.
things, drugs. But it's still enjoyable. It's not like you don't look at it now and think, it's a bit weird. It's still funny.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah. I don't know what it is about these types of comic movies, these sort of John Hughes style Brat Pack movies, that they all just were clustered in the 80s, and we've not really seen it.
The thing that ties it all together for me is just because it was the decade they were made in.
It's a great time capsule, isn't it?
Talking about it, they were the type of films you could make then, and people weren't offended or had problems with them. They just laughed at them. That's all.
There's a commonality with these types of 80s movies where the beginning is always like establishing shots with some song or music playing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's always like a street shot with people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially with Eddie Murphy movies.
That's true. Yeah. Beverly Hills Cop was the
Just
same.
setting the scene.
Yeah, but that's just such a great way to bring you in. They don't do that anymore, and it's so lovely to bring you in like that.
Yeah.
As you said, you get the city, you get a song,
Yeah.
you get opening credits, different shots. You might get some of them showing prostitutes in one corner, then you get alcoholics, and then hoodlums on the street. It's setting it, And
Great with Trading Places because they mix the poor elements with the rich elements. So,
yes, that's it.
The people trying to stay warm around the fire, and then the rich people getting in, their cars, and other people.
The golf club or something.
Yeah, the golf club, and then other people just trying to get the subway to work, and it's the contrast between the rich and the poor. That's a great point. No, you don't get that in films.
No, you don't.
They waste the titles now. They just.
But they don't bother with opening titles.
No, they really don't. Very rare you get that.
Yeah.
Very rare. But it's going back to once again. It's just a testament. John Landis just does neat comedy so well, and he really nailed it in the 80s with both Trading and Coming to America. I mean, it's just he's very, very, very skilled at that. Very skilled.
Yeah, that and the Blues Brothers. Yeah, that as well.
And in Blues Brothers, yeah.
No, it's good choice.
Yeah. That's my number 2.
Wicked.
Yeah. So we'll move on to bum 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 bum.
Before we get to the numero unos, are you going to do the triple horror corner choices?
Can do.
Did we do that before?
Okay, so we'll trigger off that ever so lovely logo.
So this is it. The Horror Corner returns from the dead. Right, so so going forward, my first choice for the Horror Corner is The Thing, which is a great John Carpenter movie. He didn't want to do this film. I think I've said this before in the last one.
He didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to do it. He was coaxed into it. So he's asked so many times, "Could you do this?" He goes, "No, I don't want to do it. It's been done. Don't want to do it." He wasn't interested.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's probably one of the reasons why he got Ennio Morricone's score rather as opposed to a John Carpenter score, because he didn't want to do it, but it's become one of his best, I think.
Yeah.
After Halloween, my personal favourite of his.
I'd say The Thing's the best.
Yeah, but Thing is definitely up there for me. It's a great film. It's very claustrophobic. You got this whole cluster of guys in this Arctic station getting terrorised by whatever it is. This thing.
Direction, photography for me though.
Yeah, the cinematography.
The shots and angles and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
And so
isolation.
and the Morricone score is so
So Morricone because
depthful. Well, it's got so much depth to it, and it's so much different to what you normally hear from a Morricone score.
Yeah, it is.
And so you've got Kurt Russell and Keith David and Wilfred Diabetes.
Wilfred Brimley.
Wilfred Brimley.
Yeah.
Diabetes. But yeah, fantastic and great.
Is it Rick Baker that does the?
I believe so.
Makeup. Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah,
it's
terrific.
great because a year later he'd do American Wolf in London.
That's it.
Fantastic. Number 2 is a great way of doing a horror film. Never been done before. A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah.
Never been done before. Get Killed in Your Dreams.
Yeah.
What a great, because you've had Michael Myers killing people, you've had Jason go around killing people, and you've had creatures from outer space and whatnot, but you had never had someone murder you in your dreams before. And the first film is fantastic.
Yeah.
The first film is brilliant. It's such a joy.
Concept.
It's a great concept. Exactly.
Everyone sleeps.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone
sleeps. And I think Wes Craven. I think I mentioned this before, but Wes Craven quickly gets this. Wes Craven took this from a sort of true story about a young man who basically said to his parents, "I don't want to go to sleep tonight. I do not want to go to sleep."
Yeah.
He did everything he could to not go to sleep. His parents got a cot and gave him pills. Go to sleep. Take these pills. Go to sleep. And in the end, the young man died.
Yeah.
They found all his pills in a drawer or in a container or something. He had not been taking them. And Wes Craven thought this is a horrible story, but it's a great concept for a film.
Horrifying.
So
Love the fact he thought it was terrible. I wanted to make a good film. Something out of it.
But obviously, he obviously took that. That was the basis for it. And obviously,
Everyone has their fetishes. Do you know?
yeah. And then so you got Robert Englund pulled into this role as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, he's good.
And you can tell Robert Englund's having a great time with his character. He's terrorising these teens and his own little dream world. He knows he can't be touched in his realm.
Is Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp is actually his first movie. This is Johnny Depp's first movie. He plays Heather Langenkamp's boyfriend, Glenn. I think he's the last one to get off by Jason, then, by Freddy. So yeah.
So for me, it's only the original that I just go to. I don't really have time for the others, but I just like the original.
It's good.
Very clever concept. Yeah.
And the first one, this is going to shock everyone because this absolutely still terrifies me now.
Brace yourself.
The Fly. David Cronenberg. I love this film and I hate this film. I agree.
That guy's sick.
I love it. I hate it. And I
love to hate it.
I know. I think I've said this before, but I bought this film on Blu-ray as therapy to get me over the damn thing.
Oh bloody hell!
As therapy, and I still can't get through it. Jeff Goldblum's performance is so harrowing. It's so good. His little tics he has. His mannerisms, the way he talks, the little bottle in your hand, and they.
You do it, right? You do it.
Well, John, I quoted that stuff from Jurassic Park, but we'll get to that at a later date.
Brilliant. But I think it's a real testament to the film because you're such a horror connoisseur, and you've seen some extreme.
Yeah, I have. I've seen people getting bisected. I've seen people getting decapitated. I've seen people being gutted on film, of course.
You've seen Terrifier.
Yeah, I've seen Terrifier, which is absolutely horrific, but fun.
We were talking about that today.
Yeah, it was, but I think it comes down to my, not fear, but I have a real problem with insects anyway. I don't like insects. I don't like how they look.
No.
If you look at one under a magnifying glass, they look horrific.
It's the spindly legs.
Can't stand it. And
particularly with flies.
And then combine that with Jeff Goldblum and his performance about this scientist, Seth Brundle, who's working for some corporation, because he explains in the opening of the film, I don't like travelling, I get air sick, I get car sick. What if I could just get into a pod and then be somewhere within seconds, somewhere else, another part of the world.
That's a great concept.
And that's what he does. He's developing these pods, and he can't get it right. He says, I can put inanimate objects through, but I can't put flesh through. I can't get around the flesh. The flesh, but then he nails it one day. But when he does nail it, there's something else in the pod with him.
Yeah.
And it's a goddamn fly.
They never had that on Star Trek, did they?
No, they didn't.
No, you know that on Star Trek.
Beam someone up and there's a fly on them and then they get regenerated.
Yeah. So yeah, and it combined that with Harold Shaw's harrowing score.
Oh yeah.
And obviously the Chris Wallace's effects, the space bug as they named it at the end of the film, this very decrepit-looking, horrific creature.
Yeah, it's practical effects.
It's all practical effects. They named it the space bug in the end. I think I prefer the creature from Fly 2, if I'm honest. It looks more menacing and evil.
Well, I admire you for trying to tackle the film. Something that you physically makes you
so unsettling.
But you want to tackle it by buying it.
Yeah. If it comes out in 4K, I'll buy it.
You're getting 4K.
I'll get 4K. Yeah, I'll still buy it because. But yeah.
No, fair play.
And I push takes time to say that I'm. Sometime this year, 2024, I'm going to be doing my own podcast, Alan's Horror Corner. We'll be coming to it as its own thing. We'll be talking about everything from Halloween to Nightmare on Elm Street, to possessions, to killer dolls, to monsters, aliens.
That's shameless.
Very much.
Yes, I'm very sorry.
No, you should.
Very much looking forward to that. Will you be adding Psycho to that list?
Yes.
Good.
We will be talking about Psycho.
Will you be the same
We have to talk about Alfred Hitchcock. He's got his own form of, I suppose more thrillers with Hitchcock. But he did delve.
He sort of invented this slasher genre.
Yeah, with Psycho.
You know, there wasn't one before it.
You're going to go into the history of horror?
We will talk about the history of horror. We'll go back to the Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi. We'll go right up to the times of Terrifier and Thanksgiving.
The man who
very much look forward to that.
Yeah.
Very sort of early seeds of horror.
Yeah.
Really laughed
And I'll be joined with my
Nosferatu.
Cool. Yes, we'll talk about that.
Lovely movie.
Yep.
The original Phantom of the Opera.
Yep.
As well.
Yep. Lon Chaney
Dawn of the
Jr.
Dead.
Yep.
Which is George Romero.
George Romero. Yep. We will be talking about that as well as its remake from I think 2004.
Yeah. Just the original.
Zombie Apocalypse. Yep. Zombie Apocalypse will be high on the list. So do look out for it. I'll be joined with my good friend Nick. He's another horror aficionado. Look, we'll be putting clips in and having a little laugh at film's expenses, especially Halloween 2.
Format for you, really.
But yeah,
I love Halloween 2. Yeah, the original Halloween 2.
Yes,
Yes, it's a brilliant continuation.
We'll get into that, so do listen out for it. Coming 2024.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So for now, I'm going to go back into my dungeon. Bye.
I look forward to that.
Let's close the cellar door. Okay, so yeah, what's your number one?
Number one is Paul's already decided it is number 3. It's actually my number 1. The Empire Strikes Back. I've gone into length about this already on the 1980 podcast. Do check it out, everyone. For me, this is the best. It builds on what was done before. Everything's bigger, badder. Vader looks a lot more shinier. He's a lot more.
It's the character of Vader that makes it your favourite film, I suppose.
Yeah, Vader's such an imposing character, and you got Han and Luke and Leia, R2D2, C-3PO, Chewbacca, added Lando in there, the proprietor
good addition.
of Cloud City, and then obviously you got the Jedi Master Yoda.
Yeah. Boba Fett.
Yeah, and Boba Fett was I wouldn't say initially introduced, but this is his first motion picture. He was introduced in the holiday special, which the less said about that, the better.
Yeah. Julian Glover.
Julian Glover is the great General Veers, who commands his own AT-AT. He actually doesn't survive the film in a deleted scene, but as far as theatrical goes, he does survive.
There you go.
It's such an amazing film. Sorry, it's I love it. I love this film.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favourite Star Wars film of all the 9 saga films and obviously the 2 anthology films. This is the one that holds up.
Yeah, it's utter perfection, this one, actually. This one is utter perfection.
And as Paul said, though, Irvin Kershner is perfect as a director to this.
Yeah.
George does good with the story. He really does. But Irvin Kershner, he's a proper director, and he states it as the second act of a 3-act play.
Yeah.
And
that's a good analogy, actually.
Yeah. And,
something I didn't add earlier, actually, this is actually my favourite score from John Williams.
Oh, yes.
My favourite all-time score of John Williams. It used to be Superman, but I think Empire Strikes Back just got the edge.
Yeah.
The Imperial March.
It's everything. Yoda's theme as well. The Imperial March.
The chase for the asteroid field.
The chase for the asteroid field.
The Battle of Hoth.
The Battle of Hoth. Even when they arrive on Cloud City as well. When Lando's setting them up to go to Vader. That music as well. It's absolutely...
Score-wise, there's one thing that irks me about it. It's a little thing, it irks me, and it's the end credits. They miss a section of the score. I think John Williams, because he's just obviously he did the Star Wars theme for New Hope, and then when he did the end credits for this one, he misses a key part of that actual section. Of it.
I never noticed.
No,
That irks you.
it irks me. Oh, I'm sorry, it irks me because
It's almost perfect, except
every
for
Star
that.
Wars film, even the goddamn prequels and the fucking Disney sequels, they've all had that in there. But Empire Strikes Back seemed to skip that part.
Why did they?
It's John Williams, but it's a minor thing.
Do you know what he means?
No, because he's knows more about it than I do. No,
Yeah,
I wouldn't pick up on that nuance. No,
Yeah, because it goes. I think. Yeah, because it just goes into something. The Yoda theme goes into that, and before it goes into the Empire's theme, and I think Leia's theme, and then you get that nice little bit at the end, which they tagged onto the Phantom Menace trailer.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Having a little hum here. Sorry.
I apologise.
it's just
I'll
little
see if I
sections
can
like that.
find the cues, the music cues.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that was rubbish.
Sorry.
Oh no! I loved it. I thought it was great. It's done with love and passion.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
It does.
But yeah.
That's the maestro for you, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
What if we get him on the podcast? We can ask him.
Yeah.
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 You never know.
Yeah, but yeah, that's my number one. I've spoken at length about it. Paul's already spoken at length about it. Yeah,
It's great. I think it's great. No, if you
it's amazing.
really love a
You've
film,
got a passion about it.
Yeah,
you can never
definitely
talk about it enough.
Well, it's in my top 10 of all time films. Would it be in your top 10?
Definitely my top 10.
It's in my top 10 films of all
Definitely
time.
my top 10.
Just for everything, for what it is as a film and what it did and what it changed. It changed everything in sci-fi.
The production values.
It's got everything.
Yeah, I think Peter Jackson stated he goes with because they did an interview with directors when they re-released them in 2011, and I think it's a little documentary called The Force Is With Them. And Peter Jackson states with Empire Strikes Back, he goes, everything is bigger.
Yeah.
Everything is bigger in this film. Like Vader's Star Destroyer, his Executor Super Star Destroyer he has. Yeah. It just dwarfs. It makes all the other Star Destroyers look like land speeders.
I think also if you make a film where you make a villain the winner, and it's like, because he wins that film, never normally would you root for a villain, but the fact that you're still rooting for him, but you're not, but you are, that's incredible filmmaking. It's a real rarity that you root for a villain like that.
Yeah, because Vader's got everything. He's got land assault vehicles.
Yeah,
he's got obviously Star Destroyers, he's got his TIE fighters. He's got everything for every situation.
Evil. Yeah,
he knows. He's great tactical oppressor, Darth Vader. Even when it comes down to Cloud City and he's torturing Han Solo in that whatever it is that he's got him tied to.
Yeah.
And of course the carbon freezer. Yeah. And then obviously the duel with Luke again with the great score. The track on it is Clash of the Lightsabers.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's got a lot, mate. I'm with you on that. 100%. I love it.
Awesome.
Okay. Moving on to Jeff, your number one.
My favourite film of the 80s, is a film called Back to the Future.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, I never heard of it. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Excellent choice.
Yeah.
Where to start? I'd really... There's nothing I can really say that hasn't already been said about it. I saw it in the cinema when I was 7 years old when it came out that summer of 1985. God, I can't believe it'll be 40 years next year. Don't. Yeah. But I remember going with my mum and dad, my brother, and other relatives, and it just came out. And when you're 7 years old, you can't sort of appreciate it probably and understand it. But I remember just coming out thinking, God, that guy Marty McFly, wasn't he amazing on the skateboard? And that car looked amazing, and the way he went back in time with this scientist. And it's like, and that song, "The Power of Love," was great. It's like, oh, Mum and Dad, you must take me again. It was a lot to absorb and take in and appreciate. And then for the whole year, me and my friends at school, it would be Back to the Future conversation. We'd get the sticker album. We'd have the DeLorean toys, everything. It would be, and then I couldn't wait for Mum and Dad to buy it on VHS for me. It came out, I think, the Christmas after. So I couldn't wait to see it all over again. And just through repeated viewings over the years, and I've seen it countless times. I think we all have. You pick up something new every time because it's masterful storytelling, and every intricate detail that the two Bobs put together and collaborated, and they wrote every sequence is just so ingenious.
Very clever writing.
Zemeckis was clearly sort of flying high, pun intended. With that. Yeah,
that was very clever.
There's a saying which says that the music is half of the film, and with this music, it just suited perfectly all the cues, the highs and the lows.
Yeah.
And, it was just. It drew you in. Yeah, I absolutely love this movie.
You can't not. If you're a film fanatic, you absolutely will love this film. And it's got heart. It gets to the heart as well. With his mum and dad at the dance, they have that moment, and where it all changes, but it changes beautifully.
Yeah.
It's
literally life or death for
it was
Marty,
it was a life or death, and every time you watch it, it's still horrifying the way he's sort of erasing. He's completely and utterly erasing. Transparent. I know he's and it's really intense still, and the way the music's building and gets back to Earth Angel again. It's a beautiful moment in cinema history.
It's interesting you mentioned the music, because Alan Silvestri was Robert Zemeckis and is still Robert Zemeckis' composer of choice. And I know Spielberg wasn't crazy about the Romance of the Stone score the previous year, and he says, you need it needs a more of a John Williams type sound to it, and so I think he took that on board, Robert Zemeckis, and when they finally did a screening of Back to the Future, he had Alan Silvestri do that famous theme of his, it's in the style of a kind of John Williams thing, and he thought it was a temp track. Spielberg goes, "That's the sound you want to put in this film. Don't use Alan Silvestri. You put whoever this is." He goes, "This is Alan Silvestri." He's like, "I'll just sit back down." But he's like, obviously because he was his mentor in a way. Spielberg, he sort of helped produce his early films, but you can't. As you both rightly say, the music it makes all that, and also the songs as well. Perfect choice with Huey Lewis and
the whole soundtrack,
and all the things. It's just
it's timeless. Excuse the pun.
Yeah.
It's timeless.
No, it's
and you could just watch it over and over again. Every time you sit down to watch it, and a Universal logo comes on, and the font comes on, you hear the clock ticking. And you're excited again, even though you've seen it so many times. It's that amazing feel of excitement every time you press play to watch it. It's wonderful.
The music does that to you.
Yes.
When you're watching the opening credits, and it's like whatever it is,
it's all the clocks, isn't it?
Yeah.
The film begins. Yeah.
But the music works, and
if you think about it, it's also one of the very few films like that. But it's one of the films where there's not a wasted scene in the film. Every scene in it is necessary to move to the next plot. There's not like a scene where they're just
like
hanging out, and it's like, we don't really need that in there.
No.
But everything in this film is there for a reason, and it means whether it be you meet his dad as a young boy, and
it's the perfect example of a time travel movie as well. There's only very few that do.
Well, there's very few. Well. Yeah, you're quite right.
And this is the trilogy for you.
It is, and even 2 and 3 also, even though they're not as good, they're still very cleverly written, and they work very well with the original. They all collaborate very, very well.
Well, we mentioned that on the podcast, didn't we? Because the second one, you have to have your knowledge of the first, and also really appreciate the second one.
Well, there's also like similar cues from the first to the second and the third.
Yes.
Because you're seeing the same things but from different alternate angles.
From different angles.
And that's very rare. I've never seen that in a film before, where you go into the same film but from a different perspective.
Well, and I think also the story goes, the legend goes, is that Zemeckis had no choice. He actually really originally wanted to write it into the Flower Power late 60s.
Oh, did he?
But because of Crispin Glover's behaviour, thinking that he deserved just as much money as Michael J. Fox, there was a whole financial dispute there, because he felt he also played an integral part, and he did. Crispin Glover's brilliant.
Yeah, he's George.
So because that he had the problem, the financial problems, and the disagreement with the two Bobs, that he had no choice but to sort of go back to the 50s and also intersperse sort of new footage with 1955 previously in the first one. So his story of the Flower Power with George and Lorraine in the late 60s was where he really wanted to go. The two of them, Bobs, wanted to go with the second film. So I also would have been very interested had Crispin Glover have really not been a problem. Yeah. But look, it's still great. It still worked out well. But that's the history, apparently. Yeah.
That's a good. It's the perfect choice to use. It is timeless.
And also, there was something that you pointed out.
What's that?
When we talked about it, it was that because when the doc is sitting in the car and he's showing Marty, it's just how the time thing.
He's going through and he's explaining how the time panel works. He says, "You want to go back to see the Declaration of Independence, 1776, or witness the birth of Christ?"
Yeah,
it's like
witness the birth of
000. Well, if he just left it at that, not put 1955 in, Marty would have come back to 000. The beginning, you know, at the beginning, it's like, he would have been like this barren sort of.
He would have been proper fucked.
Yeah, he would have been, yeah.
Absolutely. Can you imagine?
You know, there's no way that would have been the end of the film, and I always thought that for some reason that just stuck in my brain. You know, it's just like such a specific date. I also that's a bit of a bleak ending, but that's the way my brain works.
But also, you know, you look at all the characters, all the actors, they all played their parts brilliantly. They all did something special.
Oh yeah,
you know?
You can't imagine anyone else as a bit Doc or Marty or Biff or
all of
anyone,
them.
you know, they're all really good actors.
They're all really good
and
actors.
people just love spending time with them, you know, and even the sequels. I love the sequels as well. It's just
I know they're great. The question I'll ask you three is: you know that Eric Stoltz was originally cast, and he was in a lot of scenes. They filmed so much, shot nearly the whole film with it. Well, about 60-70% of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they really obviously wanted Michael J. Fox. So the question I ask you: do you still think it would have been a success had they have gone with Eric Stoltz and completed filming?
Probably not from what I've seen, because I think the tone they had, because Eric Stoltz is a dramatic actor.
Yes.
Whereas Michael J. Fox is not a dramatic actor.
No.
It says, you know, he's a sitcom actor. I mean, he's a very good sitcom actor, and he's also he proved in subsequent films quite a good dramatic actor as well. But I think Eric Stoltz's original approach of it was more serious, and it wasn't the tone they were after.
No.
I think that's why they had to pull the plug.
Yeah.
But he's in the film very briefly.
Yes, I know. Well, they've shown snippets on the Blu-ray, haven't they?
Yeah.
4K.
It's him diving into the DeLorean.
Yeah, I think also that you're allowed to see snippets. I think he spoke with his lawyers and said you can show snippets, but I don't want them to hear my voice or any acting. I think that's what his estate have said. So we have to respect that. But I think we all are so eager to see some footage of him. Some proper footage.
Yeah.
Just wait until he's dead, and then.
Well, hurry up, Pete. Go on, do us a favour.
Fuck's sake, Eric.
Fuck's sake, Eric.
Just twist his arm a bit. You don't have to kill him.
Yeah, we're joking, by the way.
We are joking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, good. Yes, great movie.
Yeah, fantastic.
Excellent choice.
Great Scott.
Great Scott.
1.21
What did I say? This is such a brilliant joke. You can't think of anyone else but
It's
Christopher
his
Lloyd.
eyes as well.
Yeah.
Move on to Mark's number one.
My number one is Batman. It's Tim Burton. It's out of all the films of the decade, this is the one I think as a child made the most impact on me. Grinning. But we talked about it a little bit on the last podcast, but it was the I saw this at the cinema without any preconceptions of what I was going to see. My only connection to Batman was the TV show at the time. I didn't really know Tim Burton. I hadn't really seen Beetlejuice at the time. So I just went into it kind of blind really. And it was a super hot day. I remember going in, and because it was the first 12 certificate film in Britain at the time, it was a brand new film certificate because it was a little bit more violent. You can be a PG. So, and I was only 10, a very young looking 10. So I went with my brother, and he, with dark glasses and baseball cap, he says, "Yo, he's 12," and so I sort of just bluffed my way in and tried to look as aggressive as possible, because I assume that's what teenagers did. Bit of bluffing and being a bit stroppy, and they swallowed it. So I was able to get in, and and going in and just the pitch black kind of screening and hearing that fantastic Danny Elfman score and then being completely bowled over by this is not kapow and all bright colours. This was dark nighttime. Batman was it wasn't Adam West. But he was something. This is terrific, because I hadn't really read the comics either. So this is a complete sledgehammer to the head, awakening. It's just like, wow, this is incredible. I've never seen anything like this. And then Nicholson's Joker and the tone of it and it was just so not what I was expecting.
No,
you had this kind of 1930s fusion of the gangsters with the trench coats and trilby hats, and then this kind of 80s technology. mixed in with the score and the set design and the Batmobile was just a mixture of that as well, and it's just very overwhelming. It's like I just come out of that film just a bit like Paul with Back to the Future. You're trying to absorb it all.
Yeah.
And it's you're just like, wow, what did I just see? And I want to see it again because you couldn't quite take it all in. And it was just a amazing cinema experience. I'm sure we've all had them over the years, but this was particularly one of my fondest of the 80s.
Good old Danny Elfman.
Oh yeah, the music is everything.
Just the opening overture was just...
and it's going through that little maze thing and realising it's the bat symbol, and but it's it was just it's even now there's nothing to compare it to. I know they did a sequel, Batman Returns, and I like that a lot. It's got its pros and a few cons, but it's still great because it's Tim Burton, with Danny Elfman. But there's something about the first one. I don't know, you can't really recapture the magic second time around. It just had that magic.
There was going to be a third one, wasn't there, with the Riddler?
They were going to do one, I think with Michael Keaton, and but they wouldn't give Tim Burton his they didn't want him to go dark because he was interfering with their McDonald's Happy Meal franchise.
Yeah,
because they had one for Batman Returns, and they had all these little toys of things that weren't in the film. So when kids were buying the Happy Meals and they went to see the film, it wasn't there, and plus it was quite dark. There were all these circus things, and it was kind of upsetting for children. So they didn't really. But nowadays, of course, you can. Make it as dark as you want, but it was a real shame because Michael Keaton to me is Batman, and he's a brilliant Bruce Wayne. He's the only Bruce Wayne I think out of all the actors, and they've all been terrific actors, but he's the only one who looks crazy enough to dress up as a bat.
I know what you mean.
Both characters really well.
Yeah,
as well.
he's the one. He's the only one who looks physically and mentally affected by what happened to him. I know Christian Bale, he did it terrific as well, but there's something about Keaton. He's got something in his eyes, and there's that great moment where the Joker, he's telling the story to the Joker, and he snaps, and he does the "you want to get nuts" scene. That's, to me, that's Bruce Wayne, because you have to be a bit crazy to do what he does anyway.
Yeah.
But he's the only one who actually shows it, I think. He just, I hadn't seen that before. It was just. I don't know. For me, that Michael Keaton, he just nails it for me.
Yeah.
He sells the whole crazy. I have to be a bit crazy, batshit crazy, but he just.
And it's mine and Mark's favourite Joker as well. I know it's not your favourite, Alan.
Yeah, but that's all right though.
But yeah.
No, I'm not dissing Jack. Jack's a great Joker.
Yeah.
I think just for me, I think he just plays himself, kind of.
Yeah.
To an extent.
No, he does.
He does. But if you were to choose a Jack Nicholson film where he plays himself, I would choose that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Just a perfect example.
Yeah.
Of himself.
But he's perfectly suited physically, mentally.
Yeah.
He had the right tone.
It's perfect Joker for this
For
film.
that time.
Yeah,
that time of this film.
You couldn't imagine anyone else doing it.
You couldn't put Jack's Joker against Bale's Joker, Bale's Batman, or Adam West Batman. You probably could actually with Adam West Batman. Jack Nicholson might have gone quite well, but
the only person that would have done it better, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, he's definitely, without a doubt, the best guy never to play the Joker. I think Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
He gets asked that a lot, I think, in real life.
Wasn't there a controversy with the Joker that they wanted Robin Williams to do it?
Yeah, well, they used him as a bargaining chip. And he said, I really want to do it. And he didn't realise he was actually never seriously offered it. They just used him to get Jack.
That's right.
Once they said to Jack, we got Robin Williams, eventually that's when he committed.
And I think they said just to keep Robin Williams happy, we'll cast you again in another Batman film as the Riddler.
Yeah, but he told him to get lost.
Yeah, so they got Jim Carrey.
Yeah, because he didn't like being used, which is fair enough.
Yeah, it's fair enough, yeah.
It was a bargaining chip. But no, he would have been great, Robin Williams. Thing. But then it's, he's a great alternate universe, what could have been, It's... even the most recently, The Flash, the film, it's probably not the best film, but the saving grace for it is to get to see Keaton once again, and
I think that's what everyone went to see it for.
that's the reason I went to see it.
That's the reason why I went. Yeah, I think
And he's still got it. I think at 70, he's still.
Oh, he still looked great. He did.
Yeah.
I think he was amazing actually in it.
He could still do another film with Burton, I think, if they did a Batman.
Yeah, I think I heard chatter that they're going to get Keaton again for one more solo Batman film.
They get him in Burton because they've just reunited to do Beetlejuice 2.
Yeah.
Finished that.
Oh God, really?
Yeah. It's done. With Winona Ryder's back and then Michael Keaton. So. Well, I'll reserve judgment to see. It's called, I think it's called.
I would definitely like to see Keaton as Batman again. I haven't seen Flash, but I do know that they made the suit for Keaton for Flash, and he could move his neck. And he was like, "No, I don't want to be able to move my neck. Can you restrict the head?"
Because it's part of the character. Yeah.
It was part
Turn the whole.
Yeah,
whole
he
body
turns his
goes
whole
to the head.
body. Yeah. No, it's for me. Yeah. I mean, Keaton's great. I mean, it's thing. But this film, if I had to choose one, and I had to choose one, so that was number one for me.
I think it was for me. I think the first film that made me love film. I think.
Yeah, good.
When I fell in love with film for the very first time, because I saw it in America in the cinema.
Oh wow, what was that?
I went. It was a holiday I went on. Actually, it was my best childhood memory was going to Florida with my parents and my brother in 1989. So I was 11 years old. I just finished primary school. Was about to go into secondary school, and Mum and Dad took us to see the new Batman film out there. And I didn't really know much about it. I'd seen a poster and a clip. For 3 seconds, that was it. I thought, well, it doesn't look like the 60s series.
No, exactly.
So, and when I came watching it, and I came out afterwards, and I was like, every kind of emotion. I was ecstatic, excited, terrified as well of certain scenes. I'd never seen anything like that, and it's like all of a sudden, I just stopped thinking of the 60s series because I loved it. I've always loved the 60s series, but it was so refreshing and gothically, terrifyingly refreshing. It was just so incredible, and it had everything. And I'd never seen Jack Nicholson before. I was 11 years old, and my parents said, "Isn't he brilliant, that Jack Nicholson?" I said, "He's fantastic. He was terrifying as the Joker." And so, really, from that moment on, I think that's when I fell in love with film. So that's why it also has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Excellent. I love that.
Okay. Moving on to the final pick, which is mine.
And it's definitely not Blade Runner.
It's not Blade Runner. You all know, if you've been listening to these podcasts, you all know how I feel about Blade Runner.
Yep.
It's a masterpiece, and it's gotten me obsessed with cyberpunk and science fiction, and even the author,
Philip K. Dick,
and his works, absolutely fantastic. But no, my pick is along a similar vein because I decided to stay on a light-hearted note with films that you can watch again and again. And this is a third Eddie Murphy movie. And it's Beverly Hills Cop, not one, but two.
Brilliant.
Number two. Now, the reason why it's number two is because I felt like the first one, we were establishing the character, and it was all sort of very dark. It was more dark than the second one. When we got to the second one, it was more sort of like a arcadey style version of the movie, and
Tony Scott version.
It is Tony Scott. It is
the big bitch. What's her name? Bridget
Nielsen,
just absolutely perfectly suited, and then you had old Al from Quantum Leap in it.
Dean Stockwell.
Yeah.
And the villain guy who was
Jürgen
Prochnow.
Jürgen.
He's going from Das Boot, the captain.
But it had that same opening credits where it was like establishing shots of the city and going through, and then it cuts to this bank heist and stuff, or is it the other way around? I don't know.
No.
Yeah, is that the right way around? Yep. Just brilliantly set up, and we cut back to New York or whatever it is.
Detroit.
I can't get these fucking states right. Fuck you, America. Yeah, and you have his boss again, which
He's
just
great,
is
yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
He's a real life copper as well.
Brilliant.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Inspector
Brilliant.
Tart.
Where the fuck you been, Bob?
And he was very anti-swearing, believe it or not. And
Oh, really?
What are you doing in my office?
But he says it so brilliantly. He's swearing, but he said in real life he was very against.
He was against it.
Yeah,
Makes my dick itch.
very perfect. You know.
This is
Great
not
line.
my office. You goddamn right, it's not.
Yeah.
I love that
Paul
scene.
Reiser.
Paul Reiser, he's under the desk, he's like, he's like trying to get him on the phone as quickly as possible. He hasn't got long. Tom comes back in that room.
I love him.
But it's a great ride.
Yeah.
You go to different locations, and you've got the two other cops that go with him again.
Taggart and Rosa.
Yeah, Taggart and Rosa.
Because the chief guy was shot and now he's in hospital.
Yeah, Ronnie Cox.
Or Roddy.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it ties together with my previous two picks, which are just perfect, repeatable films. And
It's fair to say Eddie Murphy does it for you. For that.
for the 80s, Eddie
80s
Murphy,
as well.
if I was to pick out, which I'm going to have to do for the thumbnail,
Oh yeah.
it'll probably be Eddie Murphy very prominently situated
Yeah, he's going to be the lead on the thumbnail.
in the
Yeah.
collage.
Collage.
So yeah.
Can you do the laugh? This is a very distinct laugh. Yeah.
Even though I still go for the original, and the original is my favourite and my favourite Eddie Murphy film, I will say Beverly Hills Cop 2 is definitely the funniest film of the series.
It's more lighthearted.
More lighthearted. He is absolutely like fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
In 2, he has moments in the first where he's hilarious.
Yeah.
But in 2, he's full on, and what he only does, how daring he is in 2.
Oh, he does.
What the stunts he pulls, and it's just absolutely like hysterical.
Yeah.
So it is the funnier one for me. Yeah.
There's not supposed to be any
you
right
agree
angles on this
that?
building.
Yeah.
I
definitely
I prefer the first one if I had the choice. I mean, I like the fact that it's a bit darker, the first one, and you got it's a little bit raw and rough around the edges, and plus you got Stephen Burkhoff.
Yeah,
As,
Burkhoff, exactly.
You used to do a great impression of that,
Who let you in here?
Foley's on the ground.
Foley's on the ground. How the hell should I know? Take your eyes off that screen.
And Surge and all those sort of things.
Surge.
With the lemon twist.
That's a lemon to get the fuck out.
Do up this top button. It's not sexy.
Axwell.
There's a fourth one coming.
Yeah, I'm just about to say. Are you looking forward to the fourth film?
I can't say I am. I'm not a fan of late sequels.
No.
So I'm going to get a feel of the dirt, of the ground.
But the third one was so crap. It is such a
I think
bad
that's why they're doing this one.
Do you remember, have you seen the third?
George Lucas is
George Lucas, got the...
Because I think Landis did it, and he was a last-minute replacement. So I think tonally, he doesn't fit with the other two films.
No, it doesn't.
No, it just doesn't. But it's just such a boring story. That's the thing.
I think that's what it doesn't. If it was called something else, it might have helped.
Maybe.
It, not
And
Beverly
you
Hills
only
Cop.
had one of the one sidekick as well. Which was,
You only have Rosewood. Thing. But no, I think then for this legacy film, they got Taggart back.
They got both back.
And I don't know if Ronnie Cox is back in it, but he's still alive. But,
he's still going.
But they got Paul Reiser's back.
Paul Reiser's back,
So,
I know.
So they if they go out, because I think it's to make a great podcast to talk about legacy sequels like with Ghostbusters and then this film and Indiana Jones and all these great getting these people back after so many years, Jurassic Park 30, 40 years later and seeing them again on the screen reunited, it's a nostalgic factor that they're playing up to. The fact that we're talking about this film, Beverly Hills Cop, from 40 years ago, and its sequel, and we're still saying how much we love it, and now they're going to offer us the same ingredients again. Will it work?
Well, I'm sure it'd be better than the third film, if anything. I'm quite hopeful.
Yeah, that's
that
all
if
I want at
anything,
the moment,
I think it'd be better than 3. That's what I think we're all hoping for.
I hope so. Yeah. That's the best you could.
You can hope for.
Stallone did it with Rocky Balboa, because the fifth one wasn't a good note to end it on.
But he scored with that.
But he really pulled out all the stops and ended it nicely. So I think if he could do that with this, then.
Hope so, but I Stallone, he's very clever. He's a very, very clever man when it comes to all of that. And I don't. Maybe Eddie doesn't have the brain that Stallone's got. I mean, because he's very
We've
very
been trying to make this
He's
for
shrewd.
years, isn't he, Eddie?
Eddie, I know. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
no, we'll see. Well, I think it's out this year, so we'll see.
Yeah, it is out this year. There's no release date at the moment.
No,
But it is going to be this year.
We'll have to. We'll have to see, won't we?
Yeah, we will.
But good choices, everyone.
Yes, excellent choices. This has been a great series. We've all really loved.
We're reluctant to let go of the 80s, aren't we?
Hence this
Blimey,
podcast.
Yeah. We could squeeze one more out of it, the 80s. Yeah.
Yes, we are in talks about doing the one for the 90s and one for the 70s. So we will update you as and when we decide to do so. But thank you so much for listening. If you like the channel, please subscribe and do all of that lovely stuff. So we're going to go say goodbye to Alan. Alan.
May the force be with you.
Mark.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And our ever so special guest, Paul Jaffa.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for having me. I hope to come again sometime.
It's been a pleasure, mate. It's been
You're
really great
always
to see you
welcome
and hear your
Likewise.
thoughts.
It's been emotional.
It's been emotional.
It's been emotional.
Okay, everyone. Until next time, we shall see you later.